Paradise by George Ezra there. You listen to Mornings live and local on Brisbane Youth Radio on 1197 AM and Digital Radio and livephoenixradio.com.au. And of course, it's 20 past 10 right now. 21 past, almost 22
Time
past.
flies.
In 3 seconds, and now it's officially 22 past 10. Awesome. So, let's jump into our little discussion about the Apple event. What was it called? A circle thingy?
So, it was called the Gather Round event, and I thought that there was going to be something to do with something that was going to be round, because and I'll show you really quick, but the icon for those at home, it's
a circle.
It's a circle. It's a gold circle with Gather Around, and so I thought, something round is coming. I thought it was going to be maybe new earpods. I thought it was going to be like a mini Apple speaker. You know how they got the big one?
Oh, so like a little. So we had the Google Home has the big boy Google Home,
and then they've got the small one,
the little boy.
You know how like
Google
JBL
Home
have that one that you can clip on? It's a little one that's waterproof for the shower, something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, like having an affordable one, because I love our Google Home Mini at home, because you don't need the big one.
And the big one's like $500, $600.
Yeah, but like I think the Mini does the same thing as the big one.
Exactly.
It's like it's not needed.
Yeah,
but
so
one of the things they did announce about the HomePod is that you can, if you have multiple, if you're like a millionaire and you have multiple HomePods, you can link them up now.
Yeah, but so can Google.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can just save the money and get a bunch of Google. Anyway.
Yeah.
So the Gather Around event happened at 10 a.m. on the 12th I think they're in San Francisco.
Yes.
I could be wrong. But that was 3 a.m. today in Australia on the 13th. So those of you who woke up nice and early to watch it were surprised when they announced everything. So the announcements are as follows.
Let's go by one by one. So let's go phones, watch,
and then
Mac.
Yeah, we'll do that. So, starting off the phones, because that's the most exciting one, we have the XS series. And I say series because I've introduced a new phone to the XS series. What this is like similar to the 5S, how it's a better version of the old X. However, they've also introduced the XS Max, which is a larger phone coming in at 6.9, I believe, inches, or 6.5.
I think it's about the same size as a Plus phone, like an 8 Plus.
Physically, yes. But the screen size, because it goes edge to edge, goes to 6.5 inches. That's the original X, or the XS that you can still buy, is 5.8 inches. So it's quite large screens, and that phone body size of the original X was about as big as a standard phone, which is pretty cool. So the S, the standard, comes in at 1,500 AUD. It's pretty expensive. The X Max, though, tops in at $1,800.
It's like almost
for the base model.
Yep. I just
64 gig without Apple Care.
64 gig. That's not much.
That's not much in today's standard. My phone has 256 gig, and I really fill it up. So, the most notable thing though is the XR. So this is a cheaper version of the X, and the most
cheaper.
And we say that because it's still $1,300.
Yeah, that's how much I spent on my 8 Plus.
8 Plus. So we've got something to talk about that at the end of this, which is actually really cool. But so it's only $200 cheaper than the X, and it's in size. It's between the X and the X Max. It's 6.1 inches, so it's a nice, comfortable size between the two. If the Max is too big and the other one's too small for you. The screen sizes are gigantic, of course, on all of them. The thing that you save money on is it's not an OLED screen. It's what they call, I think they called it a liquid LCD, which is strange because LCD already contains the word liquid in it. That's what the L in LCD is. Anyway, I digress. It also doesn't have a dual camera on the back, so you lose that zoom.
But apparently portrait mode still works.
Yes, that's what I heard too. Apparently it's got AR tracking and everything, but to be fair, AR tracking works on my iPhone 7 when you have particular apps. It's just something that they liked to put to the X to show it. The dual camera does definitely help, but it's not impossible without that because you've got gyroscopes and camera tracking today is really good. But yes, I heard that too. You also, the front is the same. You've got the same Face ID and all that jazz, but you mentioned this. There may not be Touch ID. Force Touch.
Force Touch on the
3D Touch.
On the R. It's called the R, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is strange.
Which is really strange because, I mean, like, so let's go back up to the pricing. So it's about, we said $1,200.
Yeah.
Or almost $1,300.
Almost $1,300.
And I spent the same on my 8 Plus right here.
Yeah.
And, like, this has Force Touch. It has portrait mode on its back. I would say it's basically almost the same features as the XR, but of course, different screen.
Yeah.
And better camera. But, like, why would you want to? I feel like the XR's in a way a bit of a downgrade because there's no force. I mean,
I
Force
see
Touch is
it
like one of
too.
the features,
Yeah.
but still, like I love my Force Touch, and like, why would you get rid of that? It's a pretty cool feature.
It's a
like
pretty cool
I use it
feature.
all the time on my phone.
It's just it never really took off. That was the only thing I saw. They didn't put it in their iPads.
But
They-
I think,
like
but I
it.
think iPad's different because it's bigger. Because it can't.
That is, yeah, no, that's true, and I think that's the problem that they were having with this XR. And I'm hearing a lot of compromise from Apple, which is bad. The XR uses a new type of screen. It's an LCD, and that form factor to them is new, and so they weren't able to put 3D touch into it. The same thing happened with the original X. It's not impossible to put a fingerprint scanner in a screen. We've seen it on Android phones. They came out relatively new, but not too far after the X. But they compromised and went to Face ID.
And I've talked to some people
And that's
about who have the X and about Face ID, and I know some people miss the Touch ID because it's
harder
It's
to-
much faster
Yeah.
to like unlock your phone.
And so it seems like that was a compromise. We can't get fingerprint touch in our screens. Let's just make it face. And facial recognition has been around in phones for a while. I remember my Samsung Note 7 before it all blew up had facial ID, and I didn't use it. And it had something special in it because it used to use infrared to look at my eyes. It wouldn't scan my
wow.
face, it would scan my eyes. Even with glasses on, it would be able to see through it because of the infrared. And I never used it because it was faster to use Touch ID.
Yeah.
And so I think, there's
I
a lot
think
of compromise.
Eventually, Face ID will be quicker, of course. when
Eventually,
technology gets
sure, but
better.
I'd love to see. But the other thing,
'Cause
have
Touch
you
ID
noticed
wasn't fast when it came out.
a lot of those? Yeah, no, you're right. It wasn't.
Mm.
A lot of those games, subscription-based games, where you're like going through the menu and it says press and hold to subscribe to like $100 a month apps. These scam apps, right? They're out there. You're now Face ID, right? You can not touch the button to not subscribe to $100 a month. You can't not look at your phone to not subscribe to $100 a month. So I don't have an iPhone X, but I don't know whether or not that's a thing.
I don't know. Let's not speculate about that. Then. Don't know
Yeah.
about it.
So
Anyway, watch. Let's move on to the watch. Running out of time. Come
yeah.
on.
So the watch comes in at $500. Oh no, sorry. Yeah, so $400 for the GPS standard version. They have rounded the edges of the display, of course, with the iPhone X. They've got nice rounded displays. This looks really good, and it means that we can have full colored displays instead of the original watches, which only had text on the screen, and because they were OLED screens, they would turn the background black, so it would blend in with the rest of the watch. But if you ever had a full colored display, you could clearly see the screen was a square, and it looked really jagged.
Yeah.
Now it's curved, and they've also redesigned the outside of the watch too. There are no different sizes though, so the watch looks
This is
like
bigger size though than the Series 3, isn't it?
I don't know whether it's bigger than the smaller version. Maybe it's in between the two.
Yeah.
The screen is bigger because, of course, it goes almost edge to edge now, and it does look beautiful. And I like how I bought my Apple Watch. I bought it because I personally liked the look of it. I didn't buy it because it was an Apple Watch. I bought it because I wanted a watch, and I like the look of that watch. And so I'm looking at this thing. I'm going, if the next watch I buy is probably going to be this thing.
Yeah. I just want like a bigger screen because I like the current Apple Watches. I'm looking to buy the Series 4 actually, just because it is a bigger screen because I have big hands
And
so
so
a tiny little screen
yeah.
on my wrist.
So I've got the smaller watch.
Yeah.
And so we've got a lady here called Sarah Garrett. She's got the larger watch, and she's tiny. This thing's gigantic on her arm. And I like my small watch, but I still think it's too big as well. So, yeah, I'm a bit... I want to see how big this thing is in person.
I've got bigger hands than you, so...
You probably do.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
You've got longer fingers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. So you mentioned this morning that it may be, once the phone's released, cheaper to buy an iPhone 8 Plus
Yes.
than it is to buy... And so this is the thing
Article
I
I
forgot to mention.
read. Yeah.
Yeah, their cheap version, the iPhone XR, is expensive. That's the problem. Their cheap version is still expensive.
Yeah.
I don't see that. Yeah, but yeah. So you mentioned the iPhone 8 Plus is $1,150. When the X is released, it'll drop even further, and it has the same. Sure, the CPU is a little bit slower, but it's got the same specs around about as your thing. Mac OS Mojave.
Mojave.
Right, so this is really, really... So I had the alpha, I believed, or the developer beta, or something like that before it became public. Dark mode works really well. It actually
really?
works... Yeah, it works really well.
So I'm really looking forward to Mojave just because of dark mode for my Mac.
And so you can also change your accent colors. I think you can already do that.
What do you mean by that?
So I'm just going to bring it up really quickly. In your general, you can select your highlight colors.
Oh, right.
It
yeah.
extends to even buttons. So
Oh,
if I go
okay.
purple, see how my buttons are still blue, my tick boxes are still blue. You can change the color of stuff like that. So it
That's
adds a
cool.
little bit of personalization. The colors aren't a lot, but it's still there.
Mm.
There's the live background, which I think is
Yeah,
really cool.
okay. I'm going to literally. I love my current desktops, but I'm going to change to a live background because that's
It
just
just
so
looks
cool.
so cool.
Are you using one right now on your Mac?
No, I don't have Mojave anymore. I downgraded
Oh.
back because I'm ready for it. Because once you're on the beta, you can't go to the normal.
Oh, okay.
You're always in a beta program. Also, some apps didn't work, so I had to roll back. The live background, unfortunately, doesn't work on dark mode. It turns, so it turns to the nighttime all the time on dark mode. So you have to put it in light mode to get the full cycle.
But then there's your taskbar and everything go dark mode at night.
No. But maybe they might add that because I haven't used it in I think a month now. I haven't had
Yeah,
it, so
they might have changed it.
they might have added that by
Yeah.
the time it comes out. Other notable features, I believe there were some more support for GPUs and stuff like that for the pros. They're thinking about and they're talking about introducing the same apps for iOS on Mac, which I really like. And they're also thinking about unifying the apps on iOS for your iPhone and iOS for your iPad, because at the moment there are two different types of apps. And I've bought an editing app that's only available on my iPad, and I'm actually thinking about getting rid of my iPad, and I really want that app on my phone. But it cost, I think it was like $30 for an app that's expensive. So I want that to come through. iOS 12, not much updates. It's not.
Oh, the new. No, that's got interesting things. Is that the one with the Siri? New Siri
There's
stuff?
but Siri's been unlocking. They keep saying they keep unlocking Siri for a while. It has Siri shortcuts, which is different.
Yeah.
They've also got, like Android, the notifications can stack.
Stack, yeah.
Which I was using it for a little while. Super handy. So good. I'll show you my feed if it's
Because
still
ever
there.
since I've
I was-
gained access from the Phoenix Radio Instagram,
Yeah.
I get spammed with notifications.
Yeah, so I like the last few days I've been uploading a few photos and I'm just nothing but Instagram notifications. It'd be nice to have them in one little stack because I miss my emails because they're buried down there.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go through and clear.
I think Instagram is the main reason why.
Yeah.
Because that's a spammy one.
It's a spammy one. And the thing is, as much as I can turn it off, I like seeing it. So
Yeah.
I want it there.
All the intention.
Yeah. We still don't have a proper dark mode on iOS, which
That's true.
sucks. We have what's called an enhanced invert color, which is good to an extent because it still inverts pictures. It can detect UI pretty well, but it can't detect pictures in certain apps, and it will invert that, which is a shame. So we don't have a proper dark mode in there, which kind of sucks. But
All very exciting.
yeah, it's all coming out. I think you mentioned Mac OS is coming out on the 25th.
I think next week, isn't it?
25th.
Oh, that's next week. Oh, wow. Ish. Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And iOS will be coming out. I think iOS comes out either the day before or the release date of the new phones.
Nice.
From memory, when I got my phone, it came out after the phones, I think.
All good.
But you can always download the open betas because they're open now to the public to try them out. But expect lots of bugs.
All good. Anyway, so first things first. After this little song and everything, we're going to have our day in history. So stick around for that, of course. But reminder, 11 o'clock, we're going to be live at Marsden State High School
That's
with
right.
our presenters, Louis and Jesse. So stick around for 11 o'clock for that. Here's a little promo for it right now. But then after that, we'll have a little song and then history. So let's listen to this little promo.